An accidental but explosive disclosure today, courtesy of Paul Manafort's lawyers, showing a possible straight line between Trump's campaign manager and a man believed to be a Russian intelligence asset. In other words, possible collusion. It came amid the protracted legal battle between Mueller's team and Manafort. You'll remember the special counsel filed a court document back in December alleging that Manafort had violated his cooperation agreement, that he had, instead of cooperating, repeatedly lied to Mueller's team. That document that they filed was heavily redacted. We couldn't learn a lot from it. And today, Manafort's defense team responded with their own document, and while much of that was also redacted, they missed a few parts. They failed to effectively redact some key points. So this is what Mueller believes Manafort did, as we learned. Manafort shared polling data with Konstantin Kilimnik related to the 2016 presidential campaign. Kilimnik, a man trained by the GRU and who's believed to be a Russian intelligence asset, who's also been indicted and fled to Russia. Manafort met with Kilimnik in Madrid. The timing of that meeting is somewhat disputed. To help figure out what's going on here, I'm joined by Rosalind Helderman, political enterprise and investigations reporter for The Washington Post. Crazy the way that we got this information today, Rosalind. Have you ever had something like this happen?
Well, you know, a few months ago when they accidentally told us that Julian Assange had been indicted in an unrelated court document. But yeah, this is a really odd way to learn this kind of information. And because it came from Paul Manafort's lawyers, it was sort of presented in the least objectionable way possible, and yet was still pretty stunning.
So we've got two assertions here. So basically, what we're learning from this is the Mueller team says Manafort lied to them about two discrete things. And one of them is sharing polling data that Manafort gives Kilimnik, his Ukrainian deputy, who is believed to be a Russian intelligence asset, polling data on the presidential campaign while he's campaign manager of Trump?
A little unclear, definitely during the presidential campaign. You know, we don't know whether it was during the time period when he was chairman. We do know that he was in contact with Konstantin Kilimnik throughout that time period, including having an in-person meeting in early August when he was campaign chairman. So we'll have to wait and see on the timing.
So they met together in early August. We also know they corresponded about, you know, Oleg Deripaska, the Russian oligarch, seeing Paul Manafort's new job and maybe using that to erase debts, maybe getting a private briefing on the election. But we don't know, why would Paul Manafort be giving polling to Kilimnik?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I mean, is it connected to this idea of giving, as you said, Deripaska private briefings? Deripaska's spokeswoman has said that those briefings never occurred. They've never said that they received nothing. So is it possible that's what was going on? I mean, a big question is, what does Kilimnik do with that data? Why did he want it, and what did he do with it? And we just don't know yet. The other thing is a meeting in Madrid. Now, the timing here seems crucial to me. We don't know when the Madrid meeting happened. Is that correct? Well, Paul Manafort's spokesman told me just this evening that the one piece of information he could give about this filing is that that meeting happened in either January or February of 2017. So apparently after the election. Nevertheless, it was clearly a topic that Mueller's team was asking Manafort about, so it must be relevant in some way. Well, it appears that it had something to do with a, quote, Ukrainian peace deal, which is something we've seen before, the idea that Michael Cohen and Felix Sater passed to Michael Flynn or his office some plan to lift sanctions on the Russians. I mean, if Manafort's meeting with Kilimnik in Madrid to do that while the president is the president, that's also pretty interesting. Yeah, and we don't actually know if the peace plan is connected to Madrid. It's three things. He lied about the peace plan, he lied about Madrid, and he lied about the polling data. So, you know, there's a lot here we don't yet know, but what we have been told today is a huge new piece of information. Yeah. Also, again, why is he lying even after he's cooperating with them? And we should note, the contention from Manafort's team is not that those things didn't happen. They're admitting, they're just saying he forgot, basically, right? Yeah, that's exactly right. They definitely are saying, yes, all those things did indeed happen. He just wasn't lying. He just forgot about them. His memory was fuzzy. And after being shown documents for the special counsel's team, he was immediately forthcoming about them. I've been to Madrid once. I definitely remember it quite clearly. Rosalind Helderman, thank you very much. Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.